Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. I thought I'd add one more video just to do a little bit more styling work. So first let's just show what we left off. I'm going to serve this with live server. There's a website, and then again I want to reopen it in responsively. For some reason in responsively the images are broken. I'm not sure why, so I may end up just using this for our sketch today. Okay, so let's see here. So right now, see, like on the desktop, it looks pretty okay. Now, there's a couple things I'm having an issue with, that the way that this kind of lines up. So see that right there. So let's address that first. Control Shift I. Okay. Oh, and I gotta get rid of these console logs. You always want to clean up your console logs once you're done. So there's a few things we want to do. So we can do that real quick. So let's go to our app.js. Get rid of our console logs. Okay. And now all those console logs should be gone. Good. Because you don't want people necessarily going to your website and seeing a bunch of console logs if they were to bring up the inspection panel. It's just you're having the browser do extra work, which for very large, busy websites could affect performance. Okay, so let's see here. And see, this is the nice thing about using all those comments too. See, it's really easy for me to look for the different parts of my code with these comments. So I can see this is the header area, whatnot. So what I want to do is take a look at that section tag and see how that's panning out. Okay, so that's taking up the full width. For some reason, it's not taking up 90%. Maybe that's because of the main. Maybe that's style main to get that. But as you can see here, like I look at section, I wanted it to be 90% of the width, but for some reason, the 90% width is being valid property value. Oh, I see what I did. I put it in percent. I put it in quotation marks. So let's go to styles and make that not a string. There we go. That should look better. Okay, and that looks a bit better. Okay, so see now it's not protruding. So that's good. Next thing I'd like to do is make these buttons look a little bit nicer. Okay, so let's take a look at how we did our card. Again, that's going to be in our component.js. And it's in a button group. Okay, so maybe I can take advantage of this button group to style. So let me actually go take a look at button group. So let's go back to the ShoeLace website, shoelace.style. Because I could put a div in there and make that flex and center the things, but if the button group already offers me the ability to style, then let's do that. So button group, drop downs and button groups, toolbar, properties, slots, CSS parts base, components base wrapper. Okay, slot one or more SL buttons display. Okay, so we do probably want to put it in a div, so let's just do that. So let's wrap this SL button group in a div. Well, no, but I want to put the div in because I want to center the buttons. Div, well, actually, let me just see how this is all laying out in the browser. So here are the cards. Let's take a look at one individual card. So here we have the SL card class. Okay, there's the shadow root. So inside each one, we see that it's a div. Okay, so there is a div. Okay, oh, and it has a part called base. Okay, so we can take advantage of that. So when a component has something inside of its shadow root that has a base, a part property, we can then actually target that in our CSS. Because usually anything that's within the shadow root, we can't touch from our CSS. But it can expose it to us by adding these part properties, which allow us to target it. So let's try that out. Okay, so the way that should work, and actually let me take a look at how that looks. Div, image, header, body. Okay. Okay, part, image, header, body, footer. Oh, and it has slots named footer. Okay, so we could have used those slots as well. Okay, slot for body. It's fine. I don't need to use the slots, but let's use these parts. So what I want is to target, well, the base would be the whole thing. Okay, let me see what base is. Yeah, base is the whole thing. So maybe it's smart for me, they try to get this inside the footer. Let's try that out. Okay, so let's do this. Let's put this SL group in a slot equals the footer. So we'll slot it into that footer slot. Okay, okay, cool. Okay, so see, like it separated it out. That's kind of nice. So let's make a use of the other ones. Oh, that's the nav. Section, my card. What were the other blocks? We might as well store them all. You take advantage of these slots. So it's image, header, body. So let's take advantage of that. So let's say that the title here is going to go in the slot called header. And let's see here. That's pretty much it, I think. H1, yeah. So let's see how that looks now. Okay, so it's kind of looking nice. So theoretically, we have a space here for like a description. Okay. Now let's target the footer, because the footer is also a part. So we should be able to go to our styles here. And I should be able to do something like, I think it's like part, yeah, here we go, part, 2 colons. And then the part is footer. Okay, which is that div. We saw it in the elements tab. Okay, and this is a good way to always examine like web components you're using. So if you're using somebody else's web components, you can use the elements tab to kind of really see what's inside of them, which is nice. Which is something you can't really do with like React components or Angular components. That's the one nice thing that's really nice about web components. You can actually, they really get broken down in the elements tab, so you can see exactly how you use them. Cool. So what I want to do is with the part footer, I want to make that display flex. So that way those 2 buttons show up, and I want to have justify content. And I want the justify content, I want it to be space around. So that way those 2 buttons kind of get spaced evenly inside there. Let's see how that looks like over here. That's better, not what I expected would happen. Let's see here. Why? So let's examine what's in there. So let's go to our section. Let's go to my card. Expand my card. Okay, and here's the SL button group. And the SL button group is in the slot footer. I see, because it's in another div. I see. So basically, this is only one. This is really one div inside the div that's the footer. So really, what I want to target is this SL group button div, which has a part called base, but so does the card. So let me think about how. I think let's try this out. SL button group. I think I can target that. I think I can do this. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll try it out. SL button group. Is that what it's called? SL button group. No, it's spelled out. Group. And then I want to target the base. Let's see, does that do what I want it to do? No, it doesn't look like quite what I wanted to do. Actually, it did. It got it. So there's display flex around. But how big is this div? Ah, okay. So that's why. So I still need to target the other one, because I need to make that give it more space. Because those buttons, see, like that div is only up that much space, which again is in the Yeah, so we want that to take up more space. And that's inside the footer div. Let's see, where's that footer div? Just in the shadow root here. And that footer div is this full thing here. Where's the SL button group? So let's actually just do this with 100%. See if we can get it to take up the rest of that space. Okay, div.card footer. Let's target the footer. Part footer. Again, what we want it to be is display flex. Justify content center. I should center the buttons at least. And then let's target the buttons then. Let's just give the buttons some margin. That's another way we can get these buttons. So let's see here. These buttons are SL button types. So let's just do, we want to target the button inside there. So let's just see if there's a part for that SL button. SL button, shadow root, button, here we go, SL button part base. So that's what we want to target. So SL button is the tag, and the part we want to target is the base. Okay, and what we want to do is just give that some margin. And we'll just make it 6 pixels and see how that goes. It's got margin. SL button not hydrated. Color. Contrast. Let me see if I took these out of the footer. Let me go back here, pull these out of the footer, just put them in the generic area. So let's see here, footer, back in my component. And let's take off that footer slot. For a second, I'll just cut that out. Let's see what we get. Okay, so it's div.cardBody. So let's apply the styles that we have for the footer to that as well. So footer, div.cardBody. Let's try that. Okay, I get it. Because by default, like we need to actually, that's in the shadow DOM, so I do need to do this instead. Let's try this body. Get rid of that comma. I will just live with that. Okay. Not gonna fight with this too much because this wasn't really the main goal of what I wanted to do, but it looks better. Okay, so we got, like, again, this little bit more narrow, and we got these buttons there. So we got our cards. Okay. Now, the other main thing I really want to kind of fix is this menu here. Because, again, if I go to mobile mode, and usually what I like to do is plan for the smallest phone, which should be the iPhone 5 SE. We can see like that doesn't quite look right. Now, notice how you have all this white space here. The reason why that happens is we probably have something that's pushing against the edge. So something which is really the menu. We can see here that, see GitHub, Twitter, there's white text that's pushing against the end of the screen. So I need to fix that. So really what I'm going to want to do is that when the screen gets below, like let's see here, when does that start happening? So let's go to responsive. Everything looks okay till around yep, and then right there we start hitting a problem. So right around 450. Because I mean this is, I guess, fine. But see right here, the menu starts pushing against the edge. Boop. Okay, so we're gonna say around let's say 500. Okay, so I'm gonna create a media query for how things are gonna look like below 500. So add media screen max width 500, and I'm doing this the opposite way I should be doing this. I should be designing it for mobile and then doing like a minimum width to design for a larger screen, but I'm already this far along, so we'll go with it. What's going to happen is that menu div, so let me see here, do I have like a title for it? Or I can just look in my HTML. That would kind of be the straightforward way to do it. Here it is, the div with the ID menu. We're going to make that disappear. Okay, so back to the CSS. Div with the ID of menu. And we're going to say that the display is none when we're on a smaller screen. Okay. Let me refresh the page. And that did not disappear. So let's examine. Body, header, main, nav, div with the ID of menu. And I had it, and I'm doing the opposite here. Nav, div with the ID of menu. Display flex. So my display over here seems to be overriding it. So let me take a look. Oh, because I have like header, nav. See, this is more specific. See, header, nav, menu. So that's going to win. So I should match that. So make this header, nav, menu. Okay. At media screen. Oh no, there's some sort of syntax. Ooh, with my media query. So let me go double check on media query syntax. Media query. Media type. Oh, the word and. My bad. So when it's the screen and the max width is 500 pixels, then do that. Now we should disappear. Still not disappearing. Refresh. Div ID of menu. Oh, because I'm not below 500. There you go. See, it disappears. So when we go below 500, so let me go head over to the iPhone 5. There we go. Cool. Okay, so see, now that looks better, but the menu's disappeared. Okay, so see, this looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. The cards, generally the cards, what they should be around 300 width, because on a bigger screen you can have those kind of little stacked up, but on a smaller screen that 300 width really kind of just works as a column. Okay, and the flex wrap just kind of magically does that. So I don't have to do a lot of media queries for the cards because they're the right width, that it just kind of works. So what I want to do is build a sandwich. So now what we want to do is add another div for a sandwich. Okay. which is going to be not visible on the bigger screen. So div with the ID of sandwich. Okay, and in this ID, we are going to have an emoji. Okay, see here, sandwich emoji. I could go get, hunt down the icon, but okay, so I'm just kind of be a little tongue-in-cheek here, and just literally use the sandwich emoji. So that way I don't have to go hunt down and set up the font, the icon, library, and all that stuff. Okay, because emojis you can just literally plop in your code like that, which is fun. Okay, so now we have this div ID of sandwich. Now I do want that being visible when we're mobile, but not on, so I have to go with styles. And basically we have to just do like header nav sandwich, header nav sandwich, and then when it's in big screen, display will be none. We don't need the sandwich at that point. Then we'll copy this, copy it down to our media query. And then header nav, in this case, will be block. Okay, so let's take a look at how this is looking. And let's make this a bit bigger so we can see it better. Okay, so you can see now there's a sandwich. The sandwich right now does nothing. It's just the sandwich that magically appears when the screen is a certain size. So see, it disappears for bigger screens, appears for smaller screens. Sandwich, no sandwich, 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 no sandwich, sandwich. Okay. Now what I want to make it is when you click on that sandwich, stuff happens. Okay. So what we're going to do, at first I also want to make it where that, we can figure out how the menu looks like in a second. Let me just take a look at that menu styling. Menu, so this is the menu display flex. Let's change that. Control C. That's all fine. Padding fine, that's all fine. But now what I want to do is change the display, or no, just flex direction to column. Okie dokie. So that way it'll list the things in a column instead. And then, well, we'll deal with that once we get there. First, let's just get that to appear. GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn. I want to get rid of the display flex. There we go. Okay. So that's going to be in our app.js. So after all this code for rendering that data, I'm going to stop for a second and say, here's the code for sandwich. And what I want is that sandwich to be clickable. So first I'm going to take that sandwich and put it in a variable. So we'll just make a variable called sandwich, which is going to equal, and we're going to use jQuery to grab it. So jQuery, we're going to select the element that has an ID of sandwich. But I also want to select that menu, so const menu. I'm going to grab the element that has the ID of menu. Okay, and now that we have those things, we can do stuff. So what I'm going to do is make it where you click on the sandwich. So const sandwich. Const sandwich dot on. So that's what makes an event. And it's going to say when the sandwich is clicked, what's going to happen. Okay, what's going to happen is that the menu dot CSS, its display we'll change back to flex. Okay, so that way it'll become visible again. Let's test that out. Let's see if that's working now. So if I click on the sandwich, okay, good. Okay, it appears. Right now it doesn't do anything, doesn't do the opposite. Okay, so all I can do is make it appear right now. Now let's see again how that looks like on, is this on iPhone 5? Yeah, it still actually kind of works on an iPhone 5. So really just need to make the menu disappear. Now. So we need to do a ternary. I mean, we need to do a conditional. So that way if it's on, so we'll say if menu dot css display equals flex, do one thing, else do another thing. So that way every time you click on a sandwich, it does something based on whether, you know, the display is whatever. Okay, so if it's not flex, then make it flex, and if it is flex, then we're going to make it none. There we go. Now that works for me. Now every time I click the sandwich, it should toggle the menu on and off. So let me just make this bigger. Cool. And now you have a sandwich menu. Now again, I could do some more work to make this even more pleasant. You know, I could try to do something with a sandwich so that way it's a little bit more, doesn't appear right there in the middle. I could maybe try to move the menu down here using like fixed properties. I'm not gonna stress out about it. This is kind of does the job, so you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here. But like now, like the page is fairly responsive, so you can be like Alex's portfolio if I want to see the menu, GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I can scroll down and see the projects. But let's see what happens if I'm on a tablet. If I'm on a tablet, you know, there it is, but the menu's gone. Okay, now the reason why that happened, okay, because I know this is I remember the first time this happened, is is because the last time I clicked on the sandwich, it changed the display to none, which permanently overrides the media query. But the media query only really matters when the page is loaded, because it's not like someone's going to be looking at the site at the same time on the phone and then suddenly magically change it to a tablet. Okay, so if I hit refresh, the menu is back. So don't get too alarmed by that, because again, you're changing the size, but in real life, you can't like mold your devices. So we really want to hit refresh when you try like different sizes to make sure you're looking at it the way it's going to look. Okay, but I can see that's how it's going to look like on an iPad Pro, Surface Duo, that's fine too. And then here, like on a Pixel 2, let's see here. Yep, and that works. With the Galaxy S5. Yes, that works. Okay, cool. So say we made it more responsive, we made the buttons on the cards look nicer. On a desktop, we've made basically how this just looks like on a desktop, as far as like the way these cards are lined up with the nav a little bit better. So overall, you know, this is a lot nicer than we left it off at. I'll leave it at that. Now, of course, the last thing we should do is commit. So git add dot git commit dash m, more styling for responsiveness, and git push origin master. Okay, so that way you can look through my different commits, so you can see the code at the different points during this tutorial series. So you can actually, again, go to GitHub. Okay, you can find my, well, this is enterprise. Let me go to github.com. And you can go to mock, see Alex said coder mock portfolio. You can find that repo. It's a public repo. And you can go through my commits. So you can, if you want to take a look at how the code looked like when I was doing my first commit, you can click here. And you can go look through the changes I made, but you can also go look through the code. So you can click on browse files here. And see, now it takes you to the state of the files at the time of that commit. Okay. So that's a cool thing about GitHub. And then you can even download the code at this point. So you can be like, okay, I want the code as it was during this commit. And that's the beauty of committing regularly, so that way you can always have your different branches available to you, the different commits in the different branches available to you. This way, you know, you can always go back in time if you need to. So I'm gonna go back to here to code. Okay, so when I click over here, it takes me back to my most recent commit. So I can see here 5 commits. And yeah, and while we're here, just so you know what all these different fields are, issues is typically for like other people who are helping, who are using your code. Like if you're building a library, if they have a problem, like they're using your code and it's not working, they can submit an issue so you know to fix it. Pull requests, people might fork your project, make changes to it, and they say, hey, these changes are good, you should keep these changes. They'll make a pull request to you so you can merge their code with your code. Actions are like automations you can build in GitHub. So like it does like automatic tests every time you push your code, or deploys it for you in your code. This is a useful skill to learn at some point down the road. Projects, what you can do is you can, if it's like a really large project, you can break it down into different projects that different people are working on and keep track of things. It's kind of cool. Wiki, this is where you can like have a public editable wiki for documentation purposes. Security, you can do security stuff there. I haven't really played with it. Insights, you can find like data about your repo, and then settings where you can change all like the permissions and all sorts of fun stuff. So my name is Alex Merced, and again, this has been deployed, so we should be able to go to, if I go to GitHub pages, I scroll down here and see, we can see that it's a thing. So I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great day and enjoy.